Chris Voss spent decades as the FBI's lead international kidnapping negotiator, facing terrorists and bank robbers. But in 2006, he found himself facing a completely different kind of threat. Sitting across from elite Harvard Law School professors, he was hit with a terrifying ultimatum. "We have your son, Voss. Give us $1 million or he dies." Voss was playing against heavyweights armed with cutting-edge economic theories and a lifetime of negotiating expertise. His response? He didn't use advanced game theory or mathematical logic. Instead, he stared at them, smiled, and asked a simple, open-ended question. How am I supposed to do that? The world's top strategic thinkers completely froze. Voss kept repeating variations of that same question, and the professors ended up bidding against themselves to solve his problem. That simple conversational friction proved a vital point. High-stakes interactions are governed by human emotion, not math. For decades, traditional negotiation courses taught a specific assumption. They taught that humans are rational actors who make decisions by weighing logic, value, and economic models. But this diagram illustrates the reality discovered by behavioral economists. The human brain actually operates on two tracks. System 1 is our fast, instinctive, and emotional animal mind. System 2 is our slow, deliberative, and logical mind. In any interaction, the fast, emotional responses of System 1 dominate and actually steer the rational thoughts of System 2. That is the core methodology of FBI crisis intervention. To change someone's behavior, you must bypass their logical mind and hack their animal brain directly. True persuasion is impossible if you are treating the other person like a robot. You have to stop arguing with logic and start soothing their underlying emotional fears. Let's look at how this plays out in the field. September 30, 1993. Two armed robbers are trapped inside a Chase Manhattan bank in Brooklyn. They have multiple hostages, and they are acting erratically, feeding the police misinformation and threatening violence. The traditional police approach was to problem-solve or coerce the hostage-takers into surrendering. The commanders outside were trying to rush the process, demanding the robbers come out. It was failing completely. The lead robber grew more agitated, constantly hanging up the phone. So Voss took over the phone line and deployed a specific tool, the late-night FM DJ voice. He kept his delivery deep, soft, slow, and reassuring. He simply said, "Joe's gone. You're talking to me now," ending his sentence with a calm, downward inflection. This delivery relies on how our brains process social signals. A downward inflecting, calm voice triggers a powerful mirror reflex in the listener, a phenomenon often referred to as neurological telepathy. It instantly signals warmth and acceptance, letting the other person know that you are in control and that they are safe. That simple vocal inflection alters the counterpart's neurochemistry. It physically forces the fear center of their brain, the amygdala, to calm down, entirely without them realizing it. Eventually, the standoff stalled, but then the lead bank robber slipped up and mentioned a getaway vehicle, complaining that his driver cut and ran when the police showed up. Voss deployed his second tool, mirroring. Instead of launching into an aggressive interrogation about the driver's identity, Voss simply repeated the last few words the robber said. Voss asked, "Chased your driver away?" As we see in this animation of birds perfectly synchronizing their flight, the biological world is driven by a concept called isopraxism. Isopraxism is the inherent animal instinct to copy others in order to establish safety and bonding. We fear what's different and are drawn to what's similar. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. By simply repeating the robber's words, Voss triggered that exact biological instinct. The bank robber felt a sudden sense of similarity and trust. He immediately started providing vital intelligence about accomplices the FBI didn't even know existed. Mirroring weaponizes the human drive for similarity. It creates a conversational vacuum that the other person feels a biological necessity to fill with more information. By 1998, these tactics had evolved. In a narrow hallway in Harlem, Voss was standing outside a 27th floor apartment. 3 heavily armed gang members were barricaded behind the door. Snipers were on the roofs. SWAT was ready to breach. Voss introduced tool number 3, labeling. Instead of making demands, Voss spent 6 hours speaking through the door, vocalizing their exact fears. He said, It seems like you don't want to come out. It seems like you worry we'll come in with guns blazing. It looks like you don't want to go back to jail. Look at this MRI brain scan to understand the effect. When humans experience strong negative emotions, the amygdala, the part of the brain that generates fear, lights up in bright red. But when a person is asked to identify and label that emotion, the electrical activity physically moves away from the fear center and into the rational processing areas of the frontal lobe. As the emotion is labeled, the red heat dissipates into cool, stable blue tones. This process brings the fear out into the light, stripping it of its biological intensity. Vocalizing someone's perspective activates a calculated neurological mechanism, physically disarming their most volatile emotions before they can escalate. In both Brooklyn and Harlem, these tools worked. The bank robbers surrendered. The Harlem fugitives opened the door and walked out. There was no shootout, not a single shot fired. Hostage situations are extreme, but human life is essentially a series of mundane negotiations that boil down to two simple words: I want. Whether talking to your spouse, haggling with a car salesman, or asking for a raise, the exact same animalistic brain chemistry governs the interaction. These tools were built for life or death crises, but they apply to any high-friction interaction where someone has a stake in the outcome. Take the workplace. If you botch a major project, you can neutralize your boss's anger using an accusation audit. This is a technique where you list every terrible thing your counterpart could say about you out loud before they have a chance to say it. By doing this, you instantly diffuse their defensive reaction. Or consider navigating a chaotic airport. When a canceled flight leaves dozens of passengers screaming at an airline gate agent, you can step up and use labeling. A simple phrase like, "It seems like it's been a hectic day," acknowledges their massive stress. Bypassing the agent's defensive logic and acknowledging her emotional state connects you to her human side. In one real-world case, using this exact phrasing resulted in a free first-class upgrade on a totally sold-out flight. Listening serves as a strategic lever. By quieting your own ego and making the person across from you feel entirely heard, you strip away their defenses and create a path for them to collaborate.